Mr. Speaker, Article 2171 of the Constitution of Kenya provides that once every 5 years, the Senate shall, by resolution, determine the basis of allocating among counties the share of nationally raised revenue annually allocated to the county level of government. Further, Article 2161 of the Constitution provides that the principal function of the Commission on Revenue Allocation is to make recommendations concerning the basis of equitable share of revenue raised by the national government between the national and county government and among the county governments using CARA. Mr. Speaker, CRA has forwarded their recommendation to the committee, and this committee, Mr. Speaker, has engaged a lot of stakeholders after we have received the recommendations of CRA, including the National Treasury, Commission on Revenue Allocation, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Council of Governors, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, Budgeti Hub, the County Assembly of Bomet Budget Office on behalf of Mr. Bernard Rono, Estella Chimutai, and Nixon Kirui, the Budget Talk Global, the Institute of Public Finance, Achievers of Kenya, Coastal People Forum, and Mr. John Kangani. Mr. Speaker, during the deliberations, the committee made various observations that the fourth basis recommended by CRA incorporated a new parameter called the stabilization factor. According to the CRA, this factor was introduced to ensure that no county loses any money from what they are getting in the current year, 2024-2025. However, it will be prudent to address transitional effect from one basis to another using scientifically generated deviation parameter. Mr. Speaker, sir, that the data used to generate the Income Distance Index, GCP, is not directly derived from each county, but rather the Kenyan National Bureau applies a top-down approach to determine each county's contribution to GDP. Further, the approach used by CRA to determine the index is similar to the level of poverty gap in a particular county when compared to Nairobi City County. Additionally, using Nairobi City County as a reference point makes it difficult to assign an index to this reference that is specific to the county. Mr. Speaker, we have engaged these stakeholders and we have picked their input at various levels. The underlying issue that the committee was faced with, Mr. Speaker, is that when we converged on consultation about this in the presence of CRA in Naivasha, the committee was guided by the whole Senate, that the people who attended that meeting in Naivasha. The guidance from the Senate was that principle number one, no county should lose money from what they are currently getting. That is principle number one. Principle number two, whatever that is over and above 387.425, that each county must gain marginally or equitably from any figure above 387.425. Mr. Speaker, in order for the committee to arrive at a position that is in conformity with the principle that was agreed upon by the Senate, we had to get the third basis of revenue sharing and convert that into a factor of allocation in order to safeguard what each county is currently getting. Meaning, we held 387.425 to a factor for each county based on the third basis of revenue allocation. And next, we had to come up with parameters on how to share what is over and above 387.425. At this juncture, Mr. Speaker, it's worthwhile to note that the National Assembly has already approved division of revenue, and they have approved that at 405 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's also worthwhile to note that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya has also approved DORA at 465 billion. Mr. Speaker, it's very important maybe for the nation to know that for us as the Senate to arrive at a figure of 465.425, we are informed by non-discretionary expenditures that has come as an addition to what the counties have been receiving, arising from legislations that are passed by Parliament at the national level. Mr. Speaker, these non-discretionary expenditures include housing levy deductions amounting to 4.1 billion, enhanced contributions to NSSF amounting to 6 billion, matching allocation to CAIPs, County Aggregated Industrial Parks, amounting to 11.8 billion, matching allocation for community health promoters amounting to 3.23 billion, annual wage increment, that is wage thrift, amounting to 6.3 billion, basic salary increment as per the Dr. CBA number 217/21 execution of return to formula that amounts to 3.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, that coupled with the fact that the shareable revenue of the government of Kenya has been increasing gradually. The last meaningful increase for county government has happened in the financial year 2020-2021, when the last third basis of revenue sharing was happening. Mr. Speaker, that time the shareable revenue increased from 316 to 370 billion. Thereafter, Mr. Speaker, is worthwhile to note that the shareable revenue has only marginally increased from 370. The following year, it remained at 370. Those are the COVID year. And thereafter, it moved from 370 to 385. And now it has moved from 385 to 387.425. The cumulative increase over the 5 years for county governments from shareable revenue amounts to a total of about 70 billion shilling. When you compare that to shareable revenue increase of national government, which over those 5 years is 770 billion shilling, which translates to about 10%. That is the wisdom that informed the Senate to pass DORA at 465 billion, so that these senators do not fight over the formula and what counties get, but we fight to get more shareable revenue in order to make sure that most concerns that the senators have can be addressed. Mr. Speaker, it is also in the consultation shared by my colleagues, Senator Sifuna and Senator Wambua, and the majority leader, we've had 2 consultation periods as guided by yourself. The committee plus the secretariat have availed themselves. The essence of those meetings was for us to consult and to arrive at and address if there's any thorny issue that may come up, in order to maybe cushion, based on the experience of the third basis of revenue sharing, to cushion the country from the drama of the Senate, in order to make sure that we carry each other along the entire 47 counties. This morning, Mr. Speaker, in consultation with the people who attended, that about 13, we arrived at a position where the smaller counties that I've mentioned of Elgeyo Marakwet, Embu, Isiolo, Kirinyaga, Laikipia, Lamu, Nyamira, Samburu, Taita Taveta, Tharaka Nithi, and Vihiga, that there is some challenge for these counties to remain viable if they do not get a little bit of cushion effect. The proposal that came in, which now is the property of the House, Mr. Speaker, is that we set aside within the formula 2 billion shilling to be shared equally among these 11 counties in order to carry everybody along. Mr. Speaker, the committee of the Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, have carried this responsibility on behalf of the entire Senate. The committee members, despite representing their respective counties, I, as the chair, could not allow them to speak on behalf of their counties and a situation that is favorable to their counties, because we have to carry the 47 county governments in the proposals that we make. And similarly, this Senate should not be, clouded in the situation where everybody will try and push a situation that specifically favors their specific county. Rather, we really need to look at how do we carry these 47 counties, whose responsibility as the Senate of the Republic of Kenya we bear as the Senate, and we've sworn to uphold. And that does not mean that simply means we are collectively responsible for the 47 counties and individually responsible for the oversight and other mandates. As we engage, Mr. Speaker, and as I move this motion, it's important to inform my colleagues that the moment, if I take a perfect case example, for purposes of just carrying each other along, this morning when we had the engagement, and I listened to about 8 members of the Senate who spoke, each member has tried to speak in favor of a situation that he or she believes favors his county, by way of saying the variables that we have considered, can you change this from this number to this, and this number to this, and this number to this, oblivious of the reality of the fact that as the committee, once we've tabled this report, we have no further mandate to be able, even in consultation, to amend the numbers in favor of a given county. Rather, it is our prerogative as a committee on behalf of the Senate to carry everybody along and get a formula that is not perfect. We can never get a formula that's perfect. If that was the case, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would have fought for 14% on poverty and 9% on geographical size, because Mandera would have fallen in that bracket when that favor will be considered. But to carry everybody along and to make sure that we are not, short-sighted from the perspective of just only looking at what is going to be beneficial to my county or this other county. The honorable senators who are members of this committee, I have guided and they have listened, and I've prevailed upon them to make sure that they understand this is a very controversial issue. It's very important that from even the proposal, before this becomes the property of the House, for the House to either accept it, amend it, or decide to do what they do with it. From the face value of our presentation, we should position and present ourselves as extremely fair and in conformity with the guidance that we were given in Naivasha by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I conclude, I would like to report that both the principles that we were given as a guide in Naivasha of no county should lose anything from what they're getting now. And remember, the controversy of the third basis of revenue sharing was largely because there were so many counties losing substantive amount of money. And counties, just like people who are salaried, once you are given certain amount of money, you learn to plan with that certain amount. And a reduction will be extremely unfair because it's going to put counties in spin. So it's the onus is upon the Senate to make sure that that guidance we've taken is upheld by way of making sure no county loses anything from what they were getting, and that the formula is taken care of. And whatever that is over and above 387.425, and now we are, from the amended perspective, 389.425, with a cushioning of about 11 smaller counties. We believe that goes further to address, and every county will marginally or equitably benefit, while we also take care of these smaller counties. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request Senator Kalwale to second. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, you may proceed to second.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to second this motion as moved by the chair of the Finance and Budget Committee, the Senator of Mandera, who fortunately for us in this Senate is actually a national party leader, and therefore, like many national party leaders, has a global view, not just on the politics of the country, but also on the need to carry all the people of Kenya along on a very sensitive issue like sharing the commonwealth of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to congratulate him for moving the motion, and Mr. Speaker, together with my colleagues in the committee, I would like to plead with this Senate that it was without prejudice that we arrived at the current formula. And I would be very grateful if you joined us in allowing this formula to share revenue in the Republic for the next 5 years or so. But in so saying, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't mean, colleagues, that we are emotionally attached to this formula. No, not in any way. In fact, if I was to be emotionally attached to this formula, I would be attached to the formula that allows Kakamega to capitalize on its population size. That way, quickly we get more money than most of the counties because Nairobi, Kakamega, Kiambu, and Nakuru are the largest counties population-wise. Mr. Speaker, I was happy at attempt 1, Kamukunji 1, Kamukunji 2 this morning, to hear members speak emotively. That is the way it should be. We were not brought here to fight for any position that does not favor the counties that voted us into this Senate. So when you see, for example, the Senator of Nyamira, who happens to be my Mokoyone, speak with the passion he did, it is because, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, that is loud consultation.
Senator for Kakamega, you've chosen English. Stick to English, please. The other alternative is Kiswahili, and I don't think the word you've just uttered is either Kiswahili or English.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with you fully. But somewhere I read and somewhere I heard that the Speaker does not see, the Speaker does not hear, he's only moved by plenary. Mr. Speaker, I submit your guidance. Mr. Speaker, with a light touch.
Senator for Kakamega, don't invite the chair in that direction. Proceed to conclude.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all I was saying is that I wanted to speak to his heart. Mukoyone in Kisi language, in the Gusi language, means my brother-in-law, which is a fact. So I wanted to appeal to him so that he comes closer to the position of the committee. I didn't want to insult the House in any way. And I know my wife, where she is now, hearing these things. Today, dinner is going to be very nice. The kissy one.
Now, honorable senators.
I have not finished.
Well, you've taken your seat. I presume you're done. I will now proceed to...
Mr. Speaker, I had not. With
So
due
then
respect.
why were you taking your seat?
Because I saw you rising. I can never remain on my feet when the Speaker of the Senate is on his feet. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I therefore want to speak to the reasons why we cannot disagree. I mean, why we can easily disagree. The first one is that the people of Nairobi, Nakuru, Kiambu, and Kakamega can paralyze